Hi, my name is Sylvie di Giusto, and I'm so excited to be with you today and with Phil. He asked me to share my best advice that I have ever gotten with you right in the beginning, and here it is. Many years ago, Mark Sanborn, one of my favorite keynote speakers in leadership, said to me, Sylvie, nobody cares about your first book, but everybody cares that you have a first book. And now I went and published The Image of Leadership. But unfortunately, he pulled me back and said, but you have to write a really good second book. And so I'm excited to be with you today to talk about Discover Your Fair Advantage, the really good second book. Thank you, Phil, for having me.
Wow. So, really good second book. And I would agree, this is a really good second book. So, congratulations, first of all. So, Sylvie, how long did this thing take you to write, though? I mean, it's like 8,000 pages. I'm looking through it. I'm like, holy cow.
It is 461 pages, and it took me around 3 years to write it. And during those 3 years, I did not have a very good relationship with that book. I did not enjoy the process. But after 3 years, when I finally was ready to publish it, when I finally knew this is a really good book, I was really excited. And I think it took 3 years because first I tried to write two books in one. And then finally I thrilled down the exact topic. And then I wrote it. It was just theory. And I thought, wow, anybody can write a book about theory. So I added a lot of questions, made it a workbook. And then I said, wow, but my readers are from different industries. So I added the perspective of 70 different industries. And so it always got rewritten until I finally thought, now I know it's a good book. Mark Sanborn will know it's a good book, and I can share it with the world.
Wow. That's amazing, Sylvie. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you,
That's a
thank you.
lot of work. So many times people say they want an unfair advantage, but this
Yes.
book talks about a fair advantage. So what is a fair advantage to you, Sylvie?
Mhm. Let me start with another term first, especially because you have many sales professionals in your audience, being a sales expert yourself. We all know about the term unique selling point, right? And all sales professionals usually know how to define a unique selling point or proposition for their products and their services. But rarely do we take the time to apply that concept on ourselves. You are also unique. You have unique selling points. And these unique selling points are your fair advantage because you are the only person in the world who has those up to 15 unique selling points and probably more in you. But when I ask professionals, what is unique about you? It is usually a question that gets answered either with silence, nothing, crickets, or a very general description, something along the lines, well, I offer a better service, or I'm faster, or I'm better, or whatever they come up. And then I always say, well, that is not unique because if I would walk over now to your competitor, they would still probably say, well, we have the better service, we have the better product, we are faster, we are cheaper. So you bring yourself into a comparison trap. And to avoid that, I have worked 3 years on helping you to identify your fair advantage, which I describe as 15 unique selling points that only you have to offer and nobody else.
Wow. So 15 dimensions, if you
Mhm,
will, to
mhm.
each person.
Yes.
So we'll dive into some of those. But
Mhm.
Sylvie, I have to say, right? So when you and I first started hanging out, it used to be sad because I used to wear a Pac-Man jacket. Is that a fair advantage? Is part of that what you wear?
Well, I fixed that, right? I told you not to wear the Pac-Man jacket anymore, but it is one. It is certainly one because the reality is when it comes to your unique selling points, you don't want to fake them. You want to be true and authentic to yourself and define what is unique about me and what are the tools that I can use to showcase that uniqueness. And I use a framework, the ABCDE, and the A stands for your appearance. And if your values are creativity, for example, or you want to be perceived as fun, or there is something in there that is unique about you, why not show this in your appearance? However, it has to go along with your behavior, the B, with your C, the communication, with your digital footprint, and with your environment. So consistency is key. You can't expect to wear a Pac-Man jacket on the one side and then say, but I want to communicate like a trustworthy, reliable, traditional sales professional. Consistency is key.
Okay. So appearance being the A, right? Behavior, communication, digital footprint, and engagement. Okay, so those are five. And I know that, obviously the first thing people see is the appearance, but isn't it now a lot of times though the digital footprint first? Like, don't they Google us first?
Yes, exactly. So, first of all, we are visual creatures. Human by nature are visual creatures. Our brains actually don't like to work. That's why they take a shortcut through our eyes, right? I mean, how often have you seen a picture and remember the picture more than the words that were next to the pictures? How often do you remember a face but not the name? We just have a tendency to use our visual our eyes to get information faster and easier into our brains. Uh, but looking good is not enough. It's great, but it's not enough. So we need to behave and communicate to reinforce that perception of us. But unfortunately, as you said, nowadays, first impressions and interactions are usually made in a digital way, and that includes your emails that you send out. That includes your social media. That includes your website. That includes how you show up in virtual meetings or at interviews like we do today. So the digital footprint has taken pole position. And I always say, if you have to clean up somewhere, it is right there, not in your wardrobe.
So, well, that's good, right? But how do we do that, Sylvie? When many of us have been online 10 or 15 years, and I can't ask you to take down a picture of me off of your website, or can I?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. But first, I want you to differentiate between your intentional footprint and your unintentional footprint. Your intentional footprint includes everything that you intentionally put out there: your pictures, your social media posts, every like, every comment, everything that you share, or even your emails that you send out, where you always need to be aware that it can be forwarded and forwarded and forwarded. And right now, you as a sales professional, somebody out there could make a decision to reach out to you or not based on an email that was not even thought for them, that somebody forwarded, right? The same is with social media. If you put out a picture there, you are the original source, and somebody else might repost it, use it on their website. You have no control over the things that you put out there. But there is also an unintentional footprint that you leave behind, and most people underestimate the power of that footprint, meaning the hours that you spend online, the amount of posts that you make. I mean, how often we all have that one friend on our feed, right, where we think, oh my God, do they not have anything to do other than to share their meals with us, right? So there are messages in between the lines that you not intentionally put out there, but that are out there like a warning signal that each individual might read differently out there. Some might be excited that you share every detail of your life. Others might step back and read that on a digital avenue very differently.
Hmm. Okay, so we can't control that.
Mhm.
So what do we do then, Sylvie? Do we not post? Do we stay invisible, or what do we
No,
do?
no, no. You can't control anymore that it happens, but you can control what is out there. You are always the starting point, the source of every information that you put out there. And again, depending on your unique selling points, you might find out that you have to do more online or less online. It's all about the way you would like to be perceived. You are in the driver's seat and not in the passenger seat. We all are not a victim of social media. we are part of it. We have an active role in there, and whatever you put out there, you need to be aware it will be seen. And even if it's just a few milliseconds out there, we all know you can screenshot it or whatever.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a good reminder for all of us to try to be as intentional as we can
Mhm.
with what we do and how we post that, even if we're sharing, we think just to friends, right?
Mhm, mhm. If there are two things that don't belong together, it's privacy and the internet. And so, if there are a few tips I can give everybody, is first, I would find out what is out there, analyze it, and don't analyze it in a way that you just Google your name, because you are in a filter bubble. Your computer will always show you what's best for you. While if I would Google Phil Gerbershank, something different might show up on my end. So do thorough research by, for example, using an incognito mode, that you get a result that represents best possible what is actually out there. And there are other tools. And then in the second step, you might need to clean up. And clean up might mean that if it's on your own real estate and you don't want it to be out there anymore, it's easy to clean up. But it could also mean that you have to reach out to others and ask them to take things down. But clean up also means that you might additionally add something to your footprint, create something that represents you best possible, so that you can bury the things where you think they are not accurate anymore or not up to date. And then last but not least, manage your footprint, protect yourself, make sure that I let nobody tag me in any posts without my approval. It's just a setting in Facebook, for example, just because I want to be in control of my digital footprint, because if I'm not, somebody else will be.
Ooh, yeah, that setting is so powerful. It is so important. If I go to my wall and I look at that, most of that stuff is all stuff that I want there. But some of
Yeah.
the stuff before that I realized there was a setting might not be. So I'm going to go through and clean that up, right? I can remove a tag. I can do things like that. So that's good. So with that, Sylvie, I have to tell you though, one of the things that I love about the book
Yeah.
is that you offer questions about ourselves, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
can ask that. So we can actually do this. And I
Mhm.
would argue this is both a read book and a workbook, which is
Yes.
one of the things that I love the most. So with that, let's dive in a bit more into the engagement piece of your ABCDE,
Mhm,
because I
mhm,
think that's one that a lot of people miss on, the engagement. So first, how do you define engagement, please?
mhm. In the book, I take you on this journey of self discovery. The first version of the book didn't have those questions. It was all about the theory that I talked about, those 15 unique selling points. And I didn't find it fair to the reader to let them go without actually being able to do the work. And so now, if I would ask you about one of your unique selling points, what are your values and beliefs, right? Our tendency is to answer with our gut feeling and intuition, which is great. But in this case, usually our intuition leads us to very prestigious values that we think are important because society has taught us that they are important, but they are actually not our real values. And so I added really difficult questions step by step for my readers, so that they can engage with the book and really find out what are their three core values that make them unique, that they bring to work and life every single day. And that's why you find over hundreds of questions in this book. And if you do the work, you will be surprised what you're going to find out about yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. So many powerful questions in there. But
Mhm.
it's about doing the work. So how, how much like tell me the truth. Like how long do you think people need to spend with this book? Because reading it is
Mhm.
one thing, but doing the work, like I read through it, prep for our interview, right? But I didn't do the work. I'm not. So
Mhm.
what do you recommend folks take?
Mhm. I have very bad news for you. You're not going to like it.
Uh-oh.
But this book should stay with you forever. Because the reality is our unique selling points change over time. So even if you work through the book now, you have a fantastic base to work with. In the end, I will help you write a unique selling proposition, which imagine is a 500 to 1,000 word, not bio, but description about yourself and your superpowers. You will be able to use it on your LinkedIn profile, as a bio on your website, pieces of it as your email signature, on your business card. So I give you a lot of ideas where you can imprint and infuse those unique selling points. But after a while, you will have to go back and refresh it. Again, values and beliefs. The values that you and I had when we were teenagers are very different from the values that are important to us nowadays. And the values and beliefs I go to work with right now might change next year. Next year, you have more accomplishments or different accomplishments, or you added a skill, or you became better in your natural talent. So this is a moving project. But if you do the work and you get started, you are already 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
Wow. Wow. So getting ahead is important. I want a fair advantage. So with that, so obviously folks should pick up the book. That's important, right? That would be a good first step. But Sylvie, if they want to get started on their own journey of this
Mhm.
discovery, like where would you recommend that they start the whole thing?
With chapter one. Chapter one and the first chapters talk a lot about visibility in the workplace, and visibility within your industry, and how important it is, and how we very often struggle with visibility because we think that our good work should speak for us. And I just assume you are all doing good work, and that is great. I'm not going to hold you back from that. But most of us figured out that good work alone doesn't really help us to get ahead, or is too. You have to rely on somebody else exploring your good work and doing the mental work for you, what else you could be capable of. And in order to not rely on that, you must become a visibility strategist. It's the highest level of visibility where you not just stand out, but you stand out in a way that you become referable. So, not just you discover your unique selling points, you made it easy for somebody else to discover them too. And then, in the right moment, at the right time, to the right people, they drop your name in a room where you might not even be present. Because a lot of opportunities for us come up in places where we are not involved. And so, if you become a visibility strategist, you ensure that people have your name imprinted with your unique set of selling points, that when an opportunity comes up, they drop your name. Now, when it comes to unique selling points, one of our biggest challenges first is that we believe that we are self aware, but the reality is most of us are not self aware. We lack self awareness for many reasons, especially the older we become and the more successful we become, the more we believe in the concept that is right to us, and the less people from the outside give us input and feedback because of differences in the hierarchy, because of the personal relationship we have. So I dig a little bit into the area of self-awareness, one of the most crucial elements of emotional intelligence. Then we discover together those 15 unique selling points. But then, unfortunately, very often we self-sabotage ourselves because we have self-doubts. We have this negative self-talk. Are we really as unique as we are? And I just messed up a little detail and question everything. We have a fear of self-promotion. We feel like we are bragging. We are not self-disciplined. So most of the sabotage actually comes from within and not from the outside. So I help you tackle those two in the book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, it's a workbook, it's a read book. There's so much here, so much we could go in. But Sylvie, if there was one bit of encouragement, because it's a lot of work, and to
Yeah.
your point, it's got to stay with you forever. So
Mhm.
leave us with some encouragement that people can
Yes.
have. That like, is it worth it? Is it going to help? Like something.
Yes. So I think the most beautiful experience that I also have a keynote that goes with the book, is when people work on their accomplishments and achievements. It's one of the chapters where I encourage you to really write out what you have accomplished so far. And very often in our day-to-day life, we only think about the big things. Well, I haven't gotten an award. I haven't sold 1 million things. But then when I force them with very detailed questions to create a list of the nitty-gritty tiny things that in the whole picture had a huge impact on your career or somebody else's success, I see so much joy and pride and a confidence push in the audience. It is my favorite chapter because they finally take the time to define what they have accomplished. But then in the second step, we also work on, so what? What are we doing now? What have we learned from those accomplishments? How can my employer benefit from those accomplishments? What do I have to accomplish next? And the second one, I'm just going to add a second one if you don't mind. The hardest chapter I always find is when we talk about competition and dominance. What is the differentiator between you and your biggest competitor? And very often here, first, people have a tendency again to compare themselves to their competitors and say, well, I do this better or faster. But I help readers not just to define what they do better or faster, instead what they do different. Something that only you have to offer and none of their competitors. And that is always my second favorite moment, when they realize, oh, wow, I have something that nobody else in the world has to offer. And this is the differentiator to my competitors.
Wow. Wow. So make a list of your accomplishments,
Mhm.
revel in those, and then see where you're different.
Yes.
That's so beautiful, Sylvie. Well, lots of stuff you have up at your website at sylviedigiusto.com. That's
Very much.
beautiful. DiGiusto is DIGIUSTO.com. Get a copy of Sylvie's book, Discover Your Fair
What?
Advantage. Sylvie's got one too, right?
Yes.
And figure it out, gang. It's work worth doing. If you can figure out your USP and what makes you special, you can win, and this book will help you. Sylvie, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Right back to you. I'm so happy that I could spend some time with you and your audience today. And as a last word, everything you need to leverage your fair advantage is already inside of you. You just have to unbury it.